I told a few stories of my time working as a Budtender in Colorado Springs. It was like years ago, but I have some interesting stories. I worked at a few different places, and I've had a lot of requests to tell more stories. And look, I'm finally getting around to it. But I have told some of these stories. I have told a lot of stories live on my Twitch stream before, so you should definitely follow me over there, and you might see some of these stories before I ever tell them in a video. While there are a lot of bad days and a lot of good days, this is the best day ever working as a Budtender for me. Now, real quick, you ever been in a job interview and they ask you one of those questions like, tell us about a time where you went above and beyond the customer's expectations to satisfy their needs? And it's really like a test of how much BS can you tell us that's pretty believable, where you did a bunch of work for free. It's wild how they always ask this question at like a minimum wage job, where they pay you literally the legal lowest amount they can pay you. If legally they could pay you less, they would, but they want to know what you do to go above and beyond. Like, they're never ever gonna go above and beyond your expectations on your paycheck, but they want to know if you'll do a bunch of stuff for free that's out of your job description. So me personally, I've never been an above and beyond your expectations kind of guy, especially if you're paying me like not a lot. Like, I'm gonna do my job if it's my job. But this is a time where I actually went above and beyond customers' expectations, all right? So I worked at a dispensary, and I remember very specifically it was a medical shop. We had to close at 7 p.m. We legally weren't allowed to sell after 7 p.m. at the time. And I know the rules and the laws change. It could be different, but at the time, medical dispensaries in Colorado Springs had to close at 7 p.m. You couldn't legally do any sales after that. So a lot of places would close 10 or 15 minutes early. That way you wouldn't be like in the middle of ringing somebody up and then have it run over and the computer wouldn't let you finish the transaction. But on Sunday, the shop that I worked at, we closed early on Sunday. We closed at 4. I thought it was like cool. I always make jokes like, I get out of here at 4 and I can get home in time for 4:20, which happened a lot of times. But we didn't have that same stipulation where it wouldn't let us ring people up after we closed. So every now and then on a Sunday, we'd let a couple people in, you know, come in at 4:02, 4:05, because we legally could still ring them up, even though technically our business was closed. Well, one of these Sundays I'm working, it's me and one other person. I'm scooping up the bud, she's ringing them out. And it's like 3:58, 3:59, we're getting ready to go lock the doors, and I go out there, and there's like a couple of customers walking up, and I'm looking at them like, you know, we're getting ready to close. Like, are you gonna be quick? And it was 2 different customers walking up. And one of them was like, oh, please, I just want to get some stuff from here. People like going to our shop because we had good deals. There were other shops open in the area even after 4. Like, you didn't have to come to us. But we had some pretty good deals, and people like to get our ounce deals. But one of the customers that was walking up said, oh, please, I just want to get some flour. I'll tip really, really well. And I was like, oh, you know, if you're tipping really well, you know, I can maybe let a couple more people in. And then the other person heard them and was like, oh, yeah, no, I'll tip really well too. Yeah, just let us in. And I was like, dang, I can literally like keep bringing people up legally until 7, even though we close at 4. So I like asked my coworker, I was like, hey, there's a couple more people. Do you mind ringing some people up? They said they were going to tip really well. And the girl looked at me, she's like, I need the money. So let as many people in as long as they're tipping. And like, I don't know if like there was a memo that went out or something, because like a few moments later, I heard like a knock on the door while we're ringing up the 2 people. And there was somebody standing outside and like, hey, you closed? I'm just trying to get something real quick. And I told this person like, yeah, we close at 4, but we're letting in people that are leaving us nice tips for now because we're trying to get out of here. But like, if you're going to pay me a little extra, I'm going to do a little extra work. Like, I'm going to go above and beyond here because I'm getting paid above and beyond my expectations, right? I got paid like close to minimum wage, maybe a couple of dollars over. But some days I could literally double what I would make in tips. You have a nice little tip jar there. I made a whole video about tipping a while ago with some nice tips and tricks to get more tips. And this is one of them. Like, if you're kind of closed, but you could still ring in more people, say, bro, I'll ring you up if you got some money to tip. And I guess I really never stayed much later after 4. We really would just like close up shop and then dip out of there. But people just kept coming up to the shop. It was attached to like a convenience store, like a 7-Eleven or something. So there was a lot of foot traffic in the area. And the way the dispensary worked at the time is it had a doorbell outside. There's a lot of dispensaries in the Springs where you would literally wait outside. And the whole time we're ringing people up, the line outside just kept filling up with like a few people at a time. And I would go out there because I'd have to check them in. I'd have to get their medical card, check them in. I'd go out there and be like, look, I'm only accepting customers who are tipping generously. I said this a few times. It felt kind of weird at first because it's like, look, I'm supposed to go home, but I'll keep working if you give me money, like more than they'll give me. And I remember like getting a call from one of the other locations. The manager was there and he was like, yo, have you guys finished closing up or whatever? Like we have to get numbers at the end of the day. And I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like we're still ringing up people over here because a lot of people said they were going to tip us really well. And I'm just trying to make some paper. And like the manager at the time wasn't mad because the store was getting more sales. Like he wanted it to be open later on Sundays. So it was like, oh yeah, keep ringing stuff up, you know, just don't go till after 7, he said jokingly. Like I wasn't trying to stay there for forever, but like people just kept coming up like, hey, are you guys still open? Hey, are you guys still open? And like when I told everybody like, no, we're closed, but if you tip me, I'm open, it opened the floodgates, because I think that was the day that I made the most amount I ever made in tips. There were like a few days where somebody really generous would come in, but we had like a bunch of people. I think we ended up helping like 20 or so people after we closed, and like a lot of them were tipping $5-10 or more. I'm not quite sure how much we made in that little window. Like we were ringing people up for probably 90 minutes after we closed, and like the tip jar between the two of us, so it was me and one other person splitting it, was like around $300. So probably my best day in tips. I know I had a few other good days, but like that was a wild one. Anyway, if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe, hit me with a like and a comment. Let me know how much you would tip if I let you in after hours to buy some flour. Come get high with me on Twitch. The smoke sessions every night, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have Amazon Prime, you can tip me for free. And if you never heard about my first day working as a bud tender, check out this video right here. It's a dang all good time and an eye-opening experience. Have a lit day, my dudes.